Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. My name is Kim Murdoch and you're watching Arts Hub Online. So today's craft is really cool. This is a pair of binoculars. They have a string so you can wear them around your neck, take them outside and do some exploring. It's really fun, they're cool, they just look neat. So I'm going to show you how to make those one step at a time. Before we do that though, I want to talk about the supplies you're going to need. So for sure you're going to need some toilet paper rolls. Now this is actually a paper towel roll that I cut in half. So if you don't have toilet paper rolls, you can use paper towel rolls. Just remember you're going to cut that in half. I'm going to use these toilet paper rolls. These are really good, nice and sturdy. You're going to need a few things. For example, you're going to need some white paper. If you have construction paper and would prefer to use that, you can. You can also use both. So I'm only going to use the white paper today, but you can use whatever type of paper you want. Also, we're going to need a pair of scissors. I am going to recommend a hole puncher. You don't have to have a hole puncher, but it helps a lot. So I hope you will try that out. If you don't have a hole puncher, I'll show you an alternative way to do the same thing with scissors later. You definitely need a pencil and a Sharpie if you have it. You're going to need some glue and some markers. And today we're going to need a couple other things. We're going to need some tape. Clear tape is really useful and handy for this. You also want to have some masking tape, some type of strong tape. But I also wanted to show you there's a couple different types of tape. You can always use whatever you have. This black tape is called electrical tape. So this is really good for making stripes or different things. You can do decorations with this black tape. And there's always blue painter's tape, and you might even see green painter's tape. They work like masking tape, so any of these are just fine. And if you have extra things at home like craft tape, I just have this from another summer camp. This has little dog paw prints on it. So if you have this special craft tape, you can also use this. So whatever type of tape you have is perfectly okay. So to make these binoculars, you're going to need a couple of extra things. You do need these, as I mentioned earlier, and you're going to need some yarn so you can do the little strap that goes around your head. But we're going to also need something that might surprise you. So this is something that Mr. Dan figured out, and it's really ingenious, so I wanted you to check this out. This is just a lid from a ginger ale bottle. And any type of lid will do. It's the most important thing is that they have kind of a deep edge to them. So you can see this blue one is bigger than the green one. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Just make sure they're sort of on the deep side. And then the secret ingredient to the success of your binoculars today are these paper clips. So I'll show you how to use all these things in combination to make these binoculars. As soon as we come back, I'll see you then. All right, it's time to get started. The very first step is to take that lid and the two paper clips, and we're going to put that together to form the piece that goes right in the middle here. So we're going to get our tape handy, and what I like to do is have a piece of tape ready. So I'm going to go ahead and tear off a small piece of tape and put it right here on my hand so it's ready when I need it. I'm going to take the paper clip and I'm going to slide it down like this. See how I'm kind of holding it in place with my thumb? Now I'm going to take my piece of tape and I am going to put that tape right over my paper clip and just kind of fold it down and push down and straighten it out a little bit if it's crooked. So basically I've got a paper clip, it's like a little hat right now, and I'm going to set it back down. I'm going to get another piece of tape. This will just make your life a lot easier. Put the tape right there. This other paper clip goes right across from the first one. So you see how I'm kind of holding it in place with my finger? It's real easy. I've just got my tape ready. I'm going to take my tape, hold it on there, then I'm going to fold those sides down, press all that tape down, and this thing is now ready for its job. We don't need it right now. We're going to use this later. So I'm going to put it right here. And if you look at the front of this one has a decoration on it. So I did that with paper. We're going to add something later so that it covers up the front of that lid. So that's later as well. All right, so we don't need this tape for a little while. I'm going to put it back. It's time to work on our covering. So yes, you could just look through these and call it a day, but we want them to look extra cool. So we're going to decorate them, and we're going to decorate them with white paper. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our scissors and we are going to first fold this paper in half. This is the old hamburger fold. So I folded my paper in half this way. opening it up. And the reason I folded it is to give myself a nice line. It's a good way to measure. I'm going to use my scissors and cut right on that line. So now I have two pieces of paper that are about the same size. They're still a little bit bigger than my toilet paper roll. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to put this right on the edge of my paper, and I'm going to put a little line here. And I'm going to move down a little farther, and put a little line. And I move a little farther, and I'm going to put a little line. So by putting those 3 marks on there, I know that that's where I need to cut. So I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to take a moment and cut this piece off. So this might save that for something later. Now this should be approximately the right size to cover this. So what we're going to do to make sure that this is the same as this is we're going to put one on top of the other, just like that, and use our pencil again, very gently, trace that line. So you see I put a line on there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut that little strip of paper off. And I'm going to put it right over here in case I want to use it for something else later. So my advice to you, and I learned this by doing this earlier, is to decorate these totally first before you put them on. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our Sharpie, but of course you can just use markers or a pencil. But think about what kind of design you want to do. This one I did stars and stripes. I put a code on the side that I thought made it look really official. It says 041920KFM. That stood for April 19th, 2020, and my initials. So if you want to do anything like that, it's fine. You can do hearts, stripes, zigzags. You could draw dinosaurs on there. You could draw whatever you want. So I'm going to work on these, and when I come back, I'll show you what I did, and then we'll go on from there. Okay, so I drew a design. I just wanted to make this design really different from the first one I did. So I did squiggly lines and circles. Of course, you can do as much detail as you want. You can, draw things on here. I was thinking this sort of reminded me a little bit of water. So, if you wanted to have these have sort of an ocean theme, I think it'd be really fun to pick a theme for your binoculars. And, you can always make these over and over again. So you could have a pair of binoculars that are for birds, maybe. You could do birds on one. Maybe a pair of binoculars that are for looking at insects or just things like that. So just think about the themes and have some fun with it. I'm going to color these, and when I come back, I'll show you what I did, and then we'll move on. Okie dokie. So I have done a simple design, and this is nice. This one also, as you notice, you don't have to color the entire thing in. I mean, you're welcome to if you want to. I left a lot of white areas. It's going to look really nice on here. It's also kind of a repeating pattern. So I made these similar. They're not exactly identical, but I made them similar. So that's just a suggestion. Also, I've meant to say this a long time ago. I finally got myself a mat, and the mat covers the tablecloth. Of course, working on a mat is a great way to keep all the marks and all the glue off your tabletop. So I'm going to be working on a mat from now on. All right, guys, so we've got these ready to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our tape out. So I'm going to use my clear tape. If you don't have clear tape, that is okay. And I'm going to get a little piece of tape out like this, and I'm going to put it on my hand again. This is just a trick and a technique, I guess to say, that helps you have it ready when you need it. So I'm going to flip this over. See what I did? I flipped it over. I'm going to take this thing right here. I'm going to set it on the edge. I'm going to take my tape off my hand, and I'm going to do this. I think this will be easy for you to see. I'm rolling it. You see how I rolled it? And then I'm going to put that tape right there. And I use clear tape because it doesn't show up very much. And so I'm going to roll it and roll it and roll it like that until it's rolled all the way. But I really should have had 2 pieces of tape on my hand, because now I got to set it down and it's going to unroll anyway. I'm going to another piece of tape, put it on my hand, and I'm going to roll and roll and roll. So sometimes when we're doing crafts, we don't think about those things ahead of time, and you might get kind of frustrated if things kind of unravel, but you can always go back and make it work. So I'm going to take one more piece of tape, and I'm going to tape it right here. So you see how the clear tape doesn't really show up, and it looks pretty nice. So I'm going to put this right here. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to set it up by putting the colored side down. I'm going to get my roll on there, and I'm going to get 2 pieces of tape and put them on my hand. So 1 and 2. And now it's time to roll this. Take one of my pieces of tape and I'm going to roll it nice and flat. Take this other piece of tape, stick it on there. So if, as you're going, it's not perfectly level, like see how this one kind of sticks up a little bit, you can do 2 things. You can take your scissors and give it a little tiny haircut. You just cut it off, or you could just sort of fold it over and it'll just sort of disappear inside the tube. All right, so these look pretty cute. I like them. Now what is important for us is to put this on. And so remember I said that this has the little decoration here. So you can do one of 2 things. You can utilize one of these strips of paper, and it should be about the right size. So what I'm going to do is just cut a little piece of that, and I'm going to use my pencil and just kind of trace around my lid and get a nice shape. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. It doesn't have to be bigger than the shape, but it can be just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim that carefully. So I'm going to use glue in a moment and put that right on the front. But first I need to do a quick decoration. So because I have some stripes and some polka dots, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some stripes and some polka dots on there as well. I should have done that earlier, but that's okay. I'm just going to put a little polka dot with some purple, and I'm going to put a yellow stripe on it, so and call it done. All right, so here's my little decoration, and here's this thing. I'm going to go ahead and glue that right on the front. So take your glue stick, use a fair amount of glue. The glue, if you're using purple glue, it will dry clear, and it's better for things to be sturdy and not fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and use a good amount of glue on there. And now it's going to be a decoration just like that one is. So while that's drying for a moment, and I'm going to get the glue off my fingers, we are going to get our tape ready, and we're going to put this on our binoculars. So if you can look at this, you see how this is not right in the middle? It's sort of closer to the front. That makes it so they bend so that you can adjust them. So if you need them to go like that, they're adjustable. So take a piece of tape again, and this time we're going to hold it on with our thumb. You see how it's closer to the front? So this is the middle, and that would be the back, so this is closer to the front. So I'm going to do that and take my tape and have the tape go right over the paper clip. So now it's on there nice and sturdy. You can set it down just like this, and I can push this in just a little bit. And it's time for my other piece of tape. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to go right underneath here, and I'm going to press that onto my binoculars. So now I've got this with my flexibility here, but I want to make sure that it's really, really sturdy. So I'm going to even put more tape on there now. So I'm going to do another coat of tape and another one just to make sure it's super sturdy. And if you feel like you need another one, it's better to have a lot of tape than not enough tape. Okay, so these are looking like some cool binoculars. Check it out. What do you think? All right, so we're almost done with these binoculars, but they have to have this string. And so I think the best thing is to make it about as long as your arm, like from the middle of your chest out to the end of your arm. That's a good length. It probably will work. So let's see. Yep, it's about the same. So you get your yarn, and what we're going to do is take our hole puncher now, and these holes need to be closer to the back. And so the hole puncher, you might need your parents' help to do this. You want these holes to be back here at this end. So once you've got those holes punched in there, you're going to take your yarn, go through those holes, And this is where you have to tie a knot. And again, if you need your parents' help, I'm sure they'll help you out. But just tie yourself a nice double knot. You don't want these things to fall apart. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And you guys have little fingers, so it's even easier for you. I know that from camp. A lot of kids have no problem with tiny little things because their fingers are tiny. All right, so these are looking great. I'm going to take my scissors and just take a little bit of that extra yarn off each side. And do we have anything else we need to do? I don't think so. So now I have 2 pairs of binoculars. I am really prepared. I could look at birds with this one. I could look at Mr. Dan with this one. And I guess I could even look at you with both. Oh my. So have some fun with this. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be making something that I hope you will really be excited about. It is a pencil holder. This is a tin can. I don't know if you can see that. It is going to be an Angry Bird tin can. You can make any kind of Angry Bird you want. And this is going to be an awesome place to store all of your important things. I'll see you then. Whoops, I almost forgot. I did say that I was going to show you how to attach the yarn even if you don't have the hole punchers. So you can do that with just a pair of scissors. So what you're going to do is hold this like this and just do a little curving cut. So this cut just curves just ever so slightly. And you're going to do that on both sides. So what you would do is take your yarn and you would tie a knot in the end of your yarn. So I'm going to do a double knot. And I'm going to slide that in that little cut that I made. And so that way it'll stay put. And you would do the same thing on the other side. And this is, of course, you have to use your imagination that these are already binoculars, that you've already done all the steps. So this would only be if you don't have a hole puncher. So I'm making another little knot. I'm going to slide it in there. And so then they're pretty sturdy and they don't come out easily. So if you need to do that instead of using a hole puncher, that'll work too. Okay, now I really mean it. See you next time.